Hey everyone, it's me Bailey and welcome back to my channel. So today's video is going to be the mid-year freakout tag. So I'm just gonna kind of start by going over my goals for the year and how I'm doing with that. So my first goal of the year was to read 125 books. So I currently have read 68 out of 125. So I'm currently 6 books ahead of schedule, which puts me at 54% of the way through my goal, so we're a little bit over halfway there. The next thing was to read 25% of my physical TBR, and as of right now I have met that goal. I have currently read 29% of my physical TBR. However, it does keep growing, so that number does keep kind of fluctuating, but as of right now I read 29.655% of my physical TBR. The next thing was to start reading physical books from the library, and since January I have checked out at least one physical book from the library, so I would say that I am pretty on track with that goal. The next thing was to try more genres, and so far this year I have read a little bit more literary fiction, and I have read a couple of mystery thrillers, and I kind of have, not yet, but I have found a couple of horror that are on my radar that I haven't actually started reading yet, but I would like to eventually read. So not doing as much as I would like for that one, but still branching out of romance and fantasy. My next goal was to read more diversely, and I feel like I have been doing a pretty okay job at this. I definitely have been reading a lot more Black authors, a lot more male authors this year than I have previously, some Asian authors as well, some like Middle Eastern authors. So I definitely have been trying to make reading more diverse books a little bit more on my radar than has been in the past. So I feel like I'm doing okay there. Could be doing better, but we're starting somewhere and I am happy with where we're at so far. Next, I wanted to talk about my 24 books that I wanted to read in 2024. So as of right now I have read 8 out of 24, which puts me at 33% of the 24 book read, which we're halfway through the year, so I would expect to be at least halfway through this list, but unfortunately I am not there yet. So that is something that I feel like I'm going to try to prioritize in this next half of the year. But those are my goals. Those are the updates on my goals and how things are going as far as my reading goals for this year. So far I feel like I'm doing pretty okay, and I think I'm happy with the results. And so now I'm going to get into the actual questions for the tag. So question number 1 is, how's your reading year going? I would say that it's going a little bit slow. I have definitely been in a slump this year, especially like the past like 2-3 months. So half of the year I feel like I've been in a slump. So yeah, I don't know, 3 out of 6 months I feel like I've been very slumpy. So that's just kind of how my reading is going. I feel like I'm trying to slowly claw my way out of this reading slump, and I feel like it's kind of working, but also kind of not at the same time. But I'm just trying to take it one book at a time, one day at a time, and just reading as much as I can. Question number 2 is the best book you've read so far. So for this question I feel like it was kind of a tie, but I'm gonna have to go with The Only One Left by Riley Sager, and I definitely would say that this is high praise coming from me, considering I'm 50-50 on Riley Sager. The first book that I read by him I gave 1 star. The second book is this one that I read by him. Absolutely loved it, gave it 5 stars. So far my favorite book of the year, but I do see a book that I'm currently reading possibly topping this one, so I'm definitely interested to see when I come at the end of the year and talk about my top books of the year what else is going to be on that list. But so far this has been my favorite book of the year. Question number 3 is the best sequel that you've read so far, and for this I'm going with This Could Be Us by Kennedy Ryan. This is the second book in a companion series of romance books that follows these women who are living in Atlanta and just kind of going along with their lives and what they've got going on. And honestly, this book was tea. It was so drama filled, so good. I really enjoyed this. Ended up giving it 4.5 stars and would definitely recommend this series if you you have not read it. Question number 4 is your favorite reread of the year, and for me, A Court of Thorns and Roses. I decided that I wanted to reread all of the Massverse, and so I'm starting here with A Court of Thorns and Roses. We're also reading this for my book club 1 month, so we picked this up, and of course it was a reread for me and I absolutely loved it. Gave it 5 stars because I just love this book, love the series with my whole heart, and love how much it's been being talked about lately because I just love this series so much. And yeah, so this is my favorite reread so far of the year. Question number 5 is a genre that you've been loving / reading the most, and for this I'm definitely gonna have to say romance and fantasy. Definitely more romance than fantasy, but I feel like fantasy is coming in at a close second. I have been feeling like fantasy is what is going to get me out of my reading slump, so I have been trying to read a little bit more fantasy this year and kind of putting romance on the back burner a little bit, but it is still one of my favorite genres, so it definitely has been hard to beat. Next is a new release that you haven't read yet but want to, and that is Funny Story by Emily Henry. This came out in April, I believe, and I have still yet to read it, but I've heard pretty mixed things about this one, but I am still really excited to read this, and hopefully I'm going to like this book. The next question is most anticipated release for the second half of the year, and for me that is Wild Eyes by Elsie Silver. This is the second book in her newest series. I cannot remember the name of the series, but I am super excited for this book. I read Wild Love a couple months ago and absolutely loved it, and so I'm super excited for the next book in this series to come out. Question number 8 is my biggest disappointment, and for this I'm going with The Dead Romantics by Ashley Poston. So I was really excited to read this book, and I just felt like it felt kind of flat. I ended up being spoiled for the book, and I just felt like it wasn't a story that I particularly liked. I didn't really like the characters. I didn't really like anything about this book. Like, the writing was fine, but it was very insta-lovey. Like, they fell in love within a week. One of them was like not even technically alive. Like, it was literally like a ghost story. Like, she's falling in love with a ghost. I don't know. So I just feel like this book was not for me, and so unfortunately this is my biggest disappointment of the year so far, especially since so many people that I know and trust in their reviews loved this, and unfortunately this just was not a book for me. The next question is the biggest surprise, and for me that was Yellowface by R.F. Kuang. This is the first book that I've read by R.F. Kuang, and I really enjoyed this book. This book was a lot different than I expected to be. It is a literary fiction book that follows this girl June, whose friend has died, and she ends up publishing her manuscript as her own, and we follow June through these trials and tribulations that she has to go through while plagiarizing from her dead friend. And it ended up being kind of like a mystery as well, and I just felt like it was such a good book. It was so fun, but I also felt like it really talked about the racism in the publishing industry, and I feel like it was just a very good like think piece at the same time as being just a fun literary fiction novel. Question number 10 is a new favorite author, and for me I'm gonna have to go with Sarah A. Parker, who wrote When the Moon Hatched. So I have been reading this book. I'm almost done with it, and I am absolutely loving this. I am immediately going to read Sarah A. Parker's Backlist as soon as I finish this book. I really like her writing style. I really like the story and the characters, and I'm super excited to read more from this author, and I cannot wait for the next book in this series, and I just feel like she is going to become an auto-buy author for me. Question number 11 is newest favorite character, and I'm gonna have to bring up When the Moon Hatched again and bring up Rave. Rave is an assassin, and she is literally amazing. Like, I love her. She is so witty, so funny, just so amazing. Like, I literally just love her, and I cannot wait to see what she gets up to in the next book and the following books in this series. Question number 12 is a book that made you cry, and unfortunately I don't have anything to tell you for this one because I have not cried in a book this year. There were a couple that kind of made me kind of close to tearing up, but nothing has made me cry this year, so unfortunately no books to report here for this question. The next question is a book that made you happy, and for this one I'm going with Swift and Saddled by Lila Sage. This is the second book in the Rebel Blue Ranch series. I feel like I read this book at the perfect time. It was the perfect palette cleanser, the perfect story, just everything that I was looking for in the moment when I read this, and it just made me so happy and so giddy, and I just really enjoyed reading this book and definitely recommend this book, this series, if you're looking for a quick, fun cowboy romance. The next question is the most beautiful book that you have bought or received this year, and for me that's going to be Heavenbreaker by Sarah Wolf, and this book is absolutely stunning. It has this absolutely stunning embossing on the hardcover. It also has these beautiful end pages as well as the sprayed edges, which are absolutely stunning. Like, this book is just absolutely beautiful, and I cannot wait to pick this book up. I have not read it yet, but hopefully I will be reading it here soon. The next question is, what books do you need to read by the end of the year? And honestly, there's so many, but I just picked like 4 to kind of talk about and go over. So we've got Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez. Been hearing absolutely amazing things about this, hoping to get to this before the end of the year. We've got Serpent and the Wings of Night by Krista Broadbent, which I have been saying that I want to read forever, so fingers crossed this is the year that I get to this book. It's been on just about every TBR for like the last year, so fingers crossed I actually can get to this one before the end of this year. Next, we've got the rest of the Magnolia Parks universe. I am currently on the 3rd book in the series, but I'm hoping to finish the series before the end of the year. And the final series is the Addicted series. I'm currently on the 4th to last book in the series, and I am hopefully wanting to finish this series before the end of this year. The next question is favorite video or post you've done so far this year, and for me it's gonna have to be the video I did where I let Goodreads choose books for me based on my 5-star shelf. So essentially I went to the recommendations tab in Goodreads and tried to find books that I had the most in common that I had given 5 stars to in the past, to see if Goodreads knows my reading taste and what I'm gonna like, and it gave me The Only One Left by Riley Sager, and that is currently my favorite book of the year so far. So clearly Goodreads might be on to something, but definitely go check that video out if you have not. I really liked filming that video. And question number 17 is some favorite book community members, and so some of the people that I'm going to mention are going to be Morgan from Morgan Lynn, Maddie from Maddie Covington, Steph from Once Upon a Bookish Steph. We've got Natalie from Natalie Strimpfell. Her channel has been really good. I've really been enjoying watching her channel lately. And we've also got Bryn from the channel Bryn Green. Her videos are so good. She's so cute. And honestly, those have been some of my favorites recently. And of course, you know, honorable mentions, we have like some of the bigger names like Kayla from Books and Lala, Destiny from Destiny Sidwell, and Sarah Crowley, and Ashlyn Gubelli and her husband Ian have been some favorites as well. So those have been my favorite book community members lately. So if you want to check out any of their channels, I will have them in the description. But yeah, that is going to be my mid-year freakout tag. Please feel free to answer these questions in the comments. I will have all of the questions as well as the original creators of this video in the description box. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you've made it this far into the video, leave a shocked emoji in the comments to let me know that you are freaking out at this point of the year as well. If you like this video, please make sure to give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel if you want to see more content from me. I will have all of my social media linked in the description, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!